Oh, hi. Damn it, guys.
Why can't
You do it every time.
I even asked before you hit record. Hi, everyone. This is not another BL podcast, and I am Shannon, BL Gossip Girl. I'm going to let other people go now.
Kelly.
Oh, I'm Kelly. Look, my name's there. BL Chef.
And I'm Heatherly. Red is trying.
And
Yay.
I think our names are the same on all our social medias. If you look for us
We
everywhere.
have a lot of social medias.
Yeah, we're the
Everywhere.
same in all of them. Oh,
They have really good ones with if you like watching shows.
Oh,
have
yeah, we
reaction
both have reaction YouTube channels as well. Both Kelly and I.
Mm-hmm. They're really good.
yay.
We're watching the same shows right now.
We are. We said we need to do one together. I don't know which one.
Yeah.
Did we
we'll
say
figure
that?
it out.
I thought we
Yeah.
did. Or I made it up. Or I'm saying it now.
Okay.
Now we have a plan. We'll watch one together. Oh, wait, you two, right?
Yeah. You can
Yeah.
join us anytime.
Can I make a request? Can I like request the show that you guys would watch together?
No.
That's terrifying.
It is hard. It is hard to make myself watch all these shows. So I have to be like super into it to me. And I'm almost dropped one last week.
I am curious to know which one you were going to make us watch
I
together.
know which
though.
one.
Which one do you think I was going to say?
No, actually, you say it. I'm not gonna.
Oh, I wanted you guys to watch my stand-in together.
I do want to watch it, but
Yeah.
here's the thing: for YouTube, I've got 2 shows already that I have to edit, and that's going to be another one. So I'm really debating putting it on.
Oh, Love Scene.
Putting it on Patreon only. But then I can't. I feel bad. I'm like, people don't have money, and so I don't. And they even said yes. I was like, what if I do a Patreon only series? And they're like, yeah, we're down for it. Like I was going to make another tier because it's work and everything. I haven't done it because I can't. People
That's less editing that you have to do, right?
Yeah, I had to. You have to cut it down to a certain size. And
so like Sunset Vibes, you're only allowed to show 30 minutes max of the 50 minutes of the episode.
Really?
Yeah, that's the max you can do. And then it has to be itty bitty.
Itty bitty.
Oh.
It's like 640 by 360.
The good thing is Love Sea is about the same, so I just use the same for Love Sea and Love Sea's rules are pretty similar.
So. I haven't started Sunset Vibes yet. I was going to do it this week. I was waiting for episode 2 to come out.
So I will say right now it's a rom-com. Straight up.
You're like right now.
I still don't understand some of it. So I'm like, is that coming back? I don't know.
I have faith. I saw what they did with Big Dragon. I had faith that they were going to pull something out of this, and it sounds like they have.
That's what I was telling Kelly too. I really feel like I'm not going to say that there was nothing in the book because I actually haven't read this book, but like I really feel like they took what they wanted out of the book and made it what they want.
Good. That's what I was hoping. That's what I was hoping.
Oh, because we want to talk about this because I saw we did have something. Okay. So I saw somebody on I don't know the person, but they were like, I made this video like a month ago predicting that they were gonna cut a bunch of stuff out. And then like she stitched herself and then she was like, I was right. And I don't know what they took out of the book, but I also think like there's a point we're hitting between the books, unless they were written recently, between the books and now, where times have changed and we're going to see we already do, let's be real, we already see edits, but there may be even more edits in these books.
I have read a good chunk of the book and I don't know what they could have cut out because there was not a lot of substance there.
Oh, the
only thing that I am like, especially because it's only like the first 2 episodes that are out, right? Like I'm thinking about this, I'm like, what in the world could have been cut out? Because that book's pacing was very odd. I personally thought. Yes. I personally thought it was very odd because normally in these books you get this kind of like, don't they like each other? How is this relationship going to develop? How's everything going to happen? And the book was like, it's happening. Nothing's being dealt with. It's just going like, but it was in such an odd pacing that I was like, oh, okay. And that was a good ways, and it's a long book.
This is interesting. So I'm so curious.
No, wait, I don't think that or my standing.
I might have to offline ask you questions because because there's a piece that was introduced that has not been discussed beyond its introduction.
I know what you're talking about.
It's super confusing.
Was also very confusing.
Well, maybe that's true to the book. But outside of that, where I'm like, I am actually interested in that. So I hope they return to it at some point. Yeah. But wait, did you watch the first episode?
I watched the first episode.
Oh, okay. So we're all good. So, I don't have to speak in code about the first episode. You haven't watched the second. Okay. The Naga.
Shannon hasn't watched any, but she read the book.
But she read the book. Okay, we're good. So the Naga is introduced.
Yeah.
And then nothing.
I'm gonna tell you something. It made no sense to me when I was reading and the details being given. I was like, what the fuck's happening right now?
Well,
and I was like, wow. From what I've seen from clips of the show, it's being done in a like, oh, there's this mysterious thing happening. You kind of need more info. In the book, it was, like I said, the pacing was odd and stuff didn't make sense. So it just felt like a very random thing to suddenly add into this story. And I'm hoping the show weaves it better.
100%.
Well, they started the show with this.
Thank God, because they didn't start the book.
Oh, maybe they were like, let's get this out of the way.
And they put it as like a dream, and apparently like a frequent dream that he keeps having is this dream of him with a Naga wrapped around him. And so like it's like I was like, okay, but they didn't touch it at all. Like it wasn't mentioned. He didn't talk to anybody about it. It was just like, why do I keep getting this dream? Off to work I go. And then that's it. And I was like, wait, are we going to come back to that? Because I really want to know.
That's interesting. That was not how it was introduced in the book. I won't say how it was introduced in the book because they might add that in later.
Okay.
How they the book had me going, what the listen, there was a full-blown moment where I was like, what the fuck is this bitch talking about? Like, what is he actually talking about right now? I was like, what is happening? Well, how do I feel like I'm supposed to know something? I don't know. And then it just went for it.
And I still feel that way in the series. But it didn't bother me any. The only disconnect I had was I was set up for a thing. I was like, we're doing this. Cool. And then we didn't. But I like what we did. So I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm having a good time. So
I'm like, but what about that other thing? I don't know. It's fine. We'll keep going.
I'm curious to see how they will do it in the show. Yeah.
I think the reason I focused so hard on it was because I watched The Sign and it was such an integral part of The Sign that my brain was like, wait, do I need to know someone's a Naga in this dang thing? Like, what's happening here?
No, I think, I don't know if The Sign is going to do it a disservice in that sense because we are all like,
what's the big mysterious thing?
Of The Sign. And then it was like, psych, it's an office romance. Let's go. That was a really good one though. Like it's a refreshingly it's well written, Shannon.
I gotta watch the show. I will say this, the book from where I have gotten to it has no problems with like consent. Maybe like workplace boundaries.
Not at all. It's doing great. This is for me.
Can I say first episode? I'm just gonna say there was a sequence of time he was daydreaming, but you were not aware of that. And it was just like, whoa, why are you naked? What's happening?
I was like, hell no, run. This is not a safe space, sweetie. You got to get out of there.
In the book, many questionable decisions were made at that office. And I was like, where's HR?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
We haven't gotten that far yet.
I was like, this is messy.
That was some of the pacing in the book was like, I don't know how they did it in the show. This is the very beginning of the book. So this scene probably happened in the show when they like discover that they're both at the workplace because they didn't know, right?
It hasn't for Heather Lee.
His second
Oh,
episode.
is that episode 2?
You guys can talk about it though. You can still talk about it. I know that happens in the second episode.
It's gonna be the second. I mean,
I won't say how it happens, but in the book, some stuff happened, and I was like, "Hit the brakes there, sir."
This is what I wanted to say, and I'm.
We're gonna have to caption this with spoilers.
I know.
That's okay. We can add the little.
Have you? I mean, we're talking about BL. What? Come on.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. Who's watched? Have we all watched Love Sea?
Episode 1 and 2. Yeah. Episode 3 comes out tomorrow, right?
Yeah. You. So, to me, it's been what I'm making a comparison here because it kind of dawned on me. The Moss and Bank are intense. Oh, you haven't watched episode 2. Moss and Bank are intense. We know that, but you don't need to watch anything to know.
You don't need to watch it to know Moss and Bank
are intense. And I was thinking about how they're both like, I was going to say schmexual, but we're on YouTube. They both are like very sexually charged shows, but in such drastically different ways. And I almost felt more like, should I? And less was happening. Less was happening in at this point in Sunset Vibe. Less was happening, but I felt even I was even more like, ooh, because whoa. Like, oh yeah. Let me in this room.
You know what's really funny was like years ago, with BL, it was like this struggle to find that intense chemistry between actors. And there was like
a lot now.
Yeah.
Like I remember my first show was Together with Me, and I was like, you start with Max and Tool, and I was like, holy shit. And then I went to I Told Sunset About You.
Good God.
And this stuff was actively coming out about like I Told Sunset About You, so there was like behind the scenes, but then you like tried to go to others, and even if people have chemistry, it wasn't that level of you were like, holy crap, people. And then now we watch these shows, and I'm like, damn.
Now I'm trying to think of. I'm like Boss Knoll's stupid. Fort Beat their own kind of stupid, but different. It's different.
We didn't. It's so funny because Boss and Knoll, I would say, are on and off screen. You're just like, damn. Okay, guys. And then Fort and Pete are who had the tweet? Was it Jordy? Was like, when's Pete gonna match Fort's freaky? Or
oh yeah,
gonna match Fort's freak? And I was dying at that. But in the show, I was like, he's matching it. It's like, oh my god, it's happening. And it was, I don't know, super smooth. Sometimes those scenes can get a little like jilted, kind of. And I was like, shit, you guys are really smooth.
Like, sometimes those scenes feel like there's a lot of thinking going on. Like it doesn't feel as natural as it supposedly is. Not by any fault of anybody, but just like sometimes it's the way the camera moves. It somehow is sometimes how they're placed. And you're just like, that can't be comfortable. So like,
this is gonna
sometimes there's a shirt covering someone's face that just makes it look awkward.
Well, we know there's more people involved in a lot of these shows there's more authenticity behind the scenes.
Yeah.
That's not a way to say it. And I'm not talking about just the actors, but like the directors and the writers and
I was also thinking, like, don't they have more of the intimacy coordinators now than they did before?
Do they? I don't.
Do they have intimacy?
They have intimacy.
Some of them do.
Who?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I just know that I remember a couple of them did.
Oh, because I have one. Wait, we're not talking like hot, like. Oh, I'm gonna.
We're talking about people who like block you now, like, or are we talking about like intimacy coordinators like they have on Bridgerton?
Yeah, but I don't think they have Bridgerton. No,
I think in between.
And in between types. Because I noticed that like the blocking for the scenes has gotten much better.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, I say it in a way that's not inflammatory, but they're, because those people are not there to protect actors or
No.
create a comfortable space. When I think it's intimacy coordinator, that's what I think of. What I think they have more is like intimacy
design.
I don't even know if it's, I just think they have like love scene blockers. They're people who are there to walk them through the experience, but it's not to protect them per se.
And I think like, oh, sorry.
No. I was just rambling.
I was going to say, and I think that's like even really made a difference because that is something like some of these scenes in some of these shows, I don't know if I should name names. I'm like, this is not an attractive on-screen kiss. It's a hot kiss. Like, what the fuck are you guys doing? But it doesn't work well for like cameras or like, it doesn't have the like, the magic, you know? And so that's one thing with shows where I go, I don't feel like this was blocked out as much. Like, I feel like people were told, just go for it and we'll like work around you. That can sometimes work. And then there's other times where I'm like, ooh, this just looks like you guys are going at it. And there's not an attractive way to frame you to make this look romantic or.
That's a really good point, because I don't think every time people are like, oh, it was real, or they really just did these things. And I'm like, and I know you've said this, we've all said it a million times, but like for cameras and angles and stuff, you don't want that.
Yeah.
You have to block it. You have to like practice. You have, and how many times have we heard people go at it too much? Like you literally just said that. Just saying what you said, Shannon.
No, but I have like a few people in mind where I'm like, I feel like they were told to just, because like they know what they're doing. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, but there's a camera that needs to know what you're doing. Like you guys need to be in sync.
Bad Buddy fans, don't get triggered, but they went at it too much. Remember, they had to pull back. Xenu were told to pull back. They went at it too much because they're trying to create a different kind of feel to some of these scenes, and you can't just like mac on somebody full on.
I feel like in PewDiePie season 2, they were not told to pull back as much.
Not as much as they should have been.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
So that was one where, but everything in season 2 felt different from season 1.
Yeah,
I agree. In season 1, they had like the camera angles and all the things and everything, and then season 2, I was like, your angles are not like, this doesn't look as made for TV. I don't know what to call it.
I felt like it wasn't the same team, and also I felt like in some moments they were trying to harness the magic of the first one instead of creating new magic with the second one. That's what it felt like to me. Like they.
I would 100% agree. I also felt like because the reception was so good the first time, they felt almost like they had to up it. That's why certain scenes had extra things that were like, that's not necessary. We're good. But yes, I agree. I think they just tried so hard to recapture that and then up the ante that it didn't work. Not for lack of trying, but
yeah, because like I was gonna say, we all know Xenu can make out, like, you know, and time and so on, but also like I don't know, I'm like, they also still need camera angles. Everyone needs a good camera angle.
I'm trying to think of like another example. Those were the main two on my mind, though, Bad Buddy and because they specifically said they were told to pull back, that they were too,
and understandably so.
Yeah.
See those behind the scenes, it's like, damn, because when you see the behind the scenes and then you see what they did, you're like, wow, the team was good. Like they knew everyone on that was good. They knew what they were doing and they brought it forward. It was great. I'm thinking of one where they didn't do the blocking. They kind of did like a run through, but We Best Love 2 with that one. Now that worked, but that was very uncomfortable for different reasons.
Very uncomfortable.
But that one also works. But there was some stuff that like
in an unethical way. Let's just say it.
Yeah, in an unethical way, it worked. Like,
yeah, but at the same time, if you really want to dig it, it worked, but only because of the franticness that you already felt in the scene.
Yeah.
If he hadn't been what he was in real life and in the show, and they did the blocking just go for it, it would not have worked.
Yeah, and remember too, it was a push and pull between the directors and the actors because it was supposed to be even more aggressive, and they were uncomfortable with that.
So
and
you hear you at one point ask him if he's okay.
Yeah.
So there was like stuff even caught on the mic where it was like, ooh.
That's that one. I love that show. So that whole thing was,
why we block scenes. You know what I was just remembering? Who else got told was Bilkin and Pee and I Promised You the Moon with the behind the scenes, and they were like cut, and then everyone was like, "What?"
Oh my god, that I don't want to know. But the director said, "Oh my god."
Oh my god, that was so funny. And it was, the whole crew was like, "Where do we look? Like, what's happening?"
Everybody went, "Oh god!"
And that's not even like that's not even one of the most like intense scenes, but it was very intense. Like, it was very, very intense.
Yeah, I just realized my mic hasn't been on, so I really hope you guys heard me this whole time.
Yeah,
I'm gonna plug it in now.
Like we did.
And I'm gonna fix it. So now it's gonna sound different. No. Not to you guys, but
I don't have a mic today. My mic is downstairs.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing I was thinking of too, I don't know why I was thinking of, like, there's just a lot of intensity in the shows right now, so maybe that's why it's on my mind. But there was two, it's my thing where I'm like, there's different types of kisses in shows.
And
to like honor the show, we should have all the different types of kisses. Now, a bad kiss is a bad kiss is a bad kiss. I'm not talking about that. But I'm talking about, like, there was I don't remember the series now that I was talking about, and someone was like, I hated the first kiss. And I was like, but they were like, they barely knew each other. They were super uncomfortable. Like, it should not have been like a mackin' full-on kiss. And it was because now their kisses, it's cue and toy.
Oh, yeah.
And with each kiss, we see that it's changing and it's becoming a little bit more and a little bit more. And that's like storytelling.
Okay, it's so funny to mention Bridgerton again, but that's what Nicola Coughlan, what she said about third kisses, where they told her, ma'am, Penelope's a virgin. She doesn't know how to kiss a man like that.
Yes, but that is the point. Like, when sometimes people are just like, we want you to knock on these people for, like, that's not a good enough kiss. And I'm like, yo, he didn't even know he liked boys till 2 days ago. Calm down. He does not know how to kiss. He's never dated anyone. Definitely not kissed a man before. Not everybody just goes all in, y'all.
Some people gotta get in the headspace, and that's pretty real. That's really real when you realize things. There's like you gotta get in a headspace. Yeah. Some people are like, done. All right, this is me, and let's go for it. But not everyone.
But that's between us. Between us, they just went.
Yeah.
They literally were just like, let's make out, let's sleep together. Ta-da! We'll make out later.
Who was it? I think I was talking to Diego, and he was like, what an accurate gay relationship. And I was dying. He was cracking me up with that. There's sometimes in the shows, and like there will be moments where I don't know how they captured it so well, but they capture, like, when I watch like GLs, there's some moments where I'm like, oh, what a very on-spot experience that you managed to put into your show. And so sometimes, even like with the kisses, they get this, and I'm like, oh, it's like, I'm like, I don't like being seen that well in this stuff.
I will say, even though there were, ups and downs to 23.5, because of Milk and Love's chemistry, all of the like scenes with the kisses and all of that stuff was really well done. It didn't have that kind of like plastic or distant, like it felt authentic. It felt real. They were able to create the feeling that you're looking for in those moments. They did it really, really well. Like I was like, oh, Milk and Love could do a spicier show.
I also really like that they encapsulated like each little kiss or whatever that they had. It really, you could tell which one in the show relationship was more into it and not. Like it didn't feel like the actors didn't want to kiss. It felt like this character was not quite ready for what just happened. And it felt that way. It didn't feel like it was an actress issue. It felt like it was the character issue. And they did that perfectly.
Let's say it's the difference between wedding plan and you can't convince me. They didn't bring her back.
Like a hate crime.
It was real bad. Yo, find me somebody.
Instant triggered me. I'm sorry.
Find me anybody who liked that.
I feel so bad because I'm always like, yeah, let's give people a second chance. But I was like, I don't think someone wants a second chance.
I don't think she was comfortable, so she should be let free.
Yeah. I'm very much with that too. If you're not comfortable doing the roles and so on, then I'm like, I don't think you should be having to do the roles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the other, performer, she was like, let's go. She did great.
Oh my God, I would like block that from my memory.
But it is the difference, right? And I think sometimes people can't tell the difference. And sometimes when the character is shy or timid or not into it or all of these things, it is specifically with BL because there's this like just narrative that lives in BL that none of them want to be there and they all hate it.
Right.
None of them could ever want to kiss a boy because my God, which is, listen to yourselves. But anyway, that if the kiss isn't good, it's because the actor doesn't want to kiss a boy. That is the line every single time. Or if it is timid, it's because they don't want to kiss.
And sometimes you're right. It's like, no, they're just playing a character who is not supposed to be, wanting to rip off someone's clothes in this moment.
Right.
Now, some of them don't. We know that, but it's not everybody. It's not the majority, I don't even think anymore.
Oh,
anymore.
What show I think showed all of those different type stages and different Moonlight Chicken. They gave you everything. Like you got to see, seasoned, people in relationships who are like, this is what I like, this is what I'm doing. And then you had the little softies who were just figuring things out about themselves. They had a little softie kiss. So that was, I did like, you got to see all the different types in that.
Yeah. It has to fit the narrative of the story, the location of the story, and in general, it just needs to fit the characters. Because even if the location of the story is that it would be ready for a hot, passionate kiss, if the characters aren't built for that, then it doesn't need it either.
Yeah.
I will also say there is like tongue watch that happens these days.
Oh my God. Okay, but yes,
it's a lot.
But also, I'm telling you that there's a pressure we put on BLs that aren't put on straight shows. And a pressure we put on BL actors that aren't put on straight actors. And this like rewriting of straight shows that isn't real. Like think about teenage straight shows, like not like HBO.
Not Euphoria.
Yeah, not Euphoria. Like that's not think about 90s or early 2000s. Just anything on the like WB. Anyway, oh God, I showed how old I am.
Oh, I almost
WB. Yeah, there's a whole segment that's like, what's that? But like, I watch those actors' studios, and do you know they have conversations about tongue? And a lot of actors and actresses do not want tongue. And if you use tongue with them, they get pissed off because they are not comfortable with it.
Yep.
So it doesn't have anything to do with whether you're afraid to kiss a boy or not. Some people don't want to use tongue.
Yeah.
It is, why is tongue required of BL actors?
Like this is also one of those things. Like one of the shows that I really, really like, was it A Shoulder to Cry On? Heatherly. Was that the one I really liked? But I despised the last episode.
Yes.
Listen,
it
didn't need a kiss. It was such an intimate story and like all this stuff. It did not need a kiss. And I want to have a sit down conversation with that team and the writers who decided to do that last episode. That was just like, whoa, maybe a kiss. Ooh. I'm like, that wasn't necessary. And it just made me fucking angry. But anyways, not everything needs those. Like a lot of the shows build the intimacy and like, and in like other ways and really intimate ways. But yeah, I noticed the tongue watch. And sometimes I wonder though, with some BL, not all of it, if it happens because they are in a pair and they do so much work together, they get very comfortable with each other. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, we don't have to have this in
not every show or
scene. I think I only pay attention to tongue watch when like the scene seems to have required it, not required like somebody told them to do it, more like the scene. If it was a real life scene, that would be the most likely place that would have put it. The only time I pay attention to it is like when the scene doesn't seem like it should be that intense for a kiss, and yet that is the level of kiss we got. I'm like, what? Like circle that and go back for it for later, because what's happening here?
But there's pressure. There's so much pressure because
there is so much pressure.
The narrative is if you don't want to put your tongue in someone else's mouth, you're homophobic.
Yeah.
Literally the conversation. It's wild to me.
I'm like, you give me a well done show and all they did is hold hands, I'm happy. Like if it's well done and like we get to that point, I'm like, okay. And yeah, they do have that pressure. I remember after, especially with like Cutie Pie, after that, there was like, they have the spiciest scenes and they have all this stuff. And I was like, ooh, this is going to be hard.
I do think that we got hit real hard. That summer, we had Ken Porsche, we had Cutie Pie, and we had Lita all smushed. Damn. We were like hit hard. So everything after that got like, it has to have spice or nobody's going to watch it.
Oh my God. And Ken Porsche changed spice.
Holy crap.
And how it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I think that you bring a perfect point because a bunch of people came in with those shows. And so that's all they knew. Mm-hmm. And in their minds, this is what it should be. This is what the BL should be. It should be that spicy and that level. And if you can't reach that level at all times, then you shouldn't be in BL. Like, and the rest of us have been around for a minute are like, yo,
our jaws were on the floor.
Yeah, we're like, wow.
Yeah, we were like, this is new.
because okay, this is so vivid. The first show I started with was Together With Me. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
I seen part of it, not
the first one. I refused to watch the second season.
Understandable. But it opens with them throwing each other around this room. And I paused, went to Reddit to figure out if that was the first episode. Because I was like, this doesn't feel like this should be the first episode. And now it's like, yeah, you could expect that as opening for a show.
The first one my sister watched was Kim Porsche, and she was like, her question to me was like, is this, because she actually didn't need all that, right? So she was like, is it all just going to be this? And I was like, no, Kim Porsche was not this, but there's a ton of people who believe that it is the standard. And I'm like, no, it's an anomaly. It is not the standard. Y'all just came in during a very, very spicy time.
It was a spicy summer.
And it was also, the odd man out because that was one where they were like, no, we're having closed sets for these scenes and we're having all this, and we had not heard of production companies doing that yet. Like if they were doing it, they weren't telling us. And Ken Porsche, that was one of the first ones where they're like, yeah, it's a closed set. They talked to everyone before going in, like so much around that was planned and thought out, and then like really good. Yeah. I think those are some more top-notch scenes. And then that company is also very strict about you can't post those scenes online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sunset Vibe has that restriction as well.
Yep.
To respect its actors. I really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to see more of that. Because they are being put in like super vulnerable spaces.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And who, it's because we're on this topic that I'm thinking about them so much, because Max and Toll. But at the time, they were like an anomaly with like everything they were doing. But one of the things they said, I don't know if you guys saw the first one they were in, what's it called? Like Bad Romance or something. That was an awkward kiss.
I saw that one.
They had a really awkward kiss in that. And then afterwards, they said they had a conversation with each other about like, if we're going to do this, let's get comfortable. Let's figure it out. And now that's what we're hearing from all of these stuff, that everyone's like, yeah, no, if we're doing this, we're like, it seems to be a different environment at the moment as far as actors, everyone goes, of how comfortable they are just going in and what they're going to do with each other. I don't know across the board with like everything, but it more so now.
I personally feel, though not everybody gets to pick their partner, I will say that is still a case. Not everybody gets to pick their partner. I do feel that more people have more of a comfortability with their partner in the now times than they were before, because it feels like they kind of get more of a chance to have those conversations and figure it out before they get thrown into like workshops and stuff.
I think even for the older couples who are coming into their own now, it's being done on their terms. And so there's less the awkwardness that we saw in the past. There's less of that because they've spent time together, just time together over the years, but to figure each other out and to figure out what's comfortable and what they want to actually do. And then they've got more say-so in the situations that they're being put in. And so we're seeing them do more scenes like that, but it doesn't feel as awkward.
And I also think that BL is just becoming more accepted, because before, the way people would talk about when they were in the shows, the treatment they would get, how it would make it harder to, because there were so many people who were like, BL's a stepping stone. I was like, from everything we were hearing, you were lucky if you got from BL and went further. It wasn't this huge stepping stone. And then people, and you weren't well known. You were not well known. It wasn't mainstream. And then, you know, there were so many actors who talked about, you know, the questions their friends would have for them or their family, like things they would say to them. And now BL is like going mainstream, like because back to Kin Porsche and Cutie Pie, that broke into the general public. That was everywhere. That was not just BL fans like enjoying a show. Those got huge. Brought in so much more people. Like the actors from those shows are everywhere right now.
Yeah.
And I think that also can help, because you don't have that kind of like wanting that line between you and your partner because it's so impacting your life. I see so much less of that now, like so much less of it. Everyone just looks much more comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, there are individual actors that are still getting a lot of negative attention, unfortunately, and it's still pretty intense and pretty bad, but overall, it doesn't feel like a holistic thing. There's targets.
Targeted.
They're targeting. Usually feminine queer men, let's just say it.
Yep.
Which, hello, look at yourselves, BL warriors of these Twitter pages. Those are the ones that usually get attacked the most, but I'm just going to back off.
I will not forget the person who told me that Kuhart that the hate he got was not because he's feminine.
Okay.
And I was like,
guy is not blue. Like, what are we doing?
I was like, sure, yeah, whatever. Okay. But that was the other thing. I've said this before, and I don't think people realize it, and we've talked about it, but like with the homophobia is misogyny. Like that's what is tied into the homophobia. So if you're ever looking, you're like, why is this person getting so much heat, then like literally you just have to add misogyny and see how they fall into it in this way, and you'll figure it out really quickly.
What was I gonna say? Oh shoot, it's gone. What are you talking about? Oh, it's gone. Moving on. I have no idea. It was like there and then shoo, jumped out of my brain.
It's so funny this is the topic because I told people, I made a video on TikTok and I was like, oh, something that for some reason I'm always watching in shows are people's ears. But it's something I think is funny. Because in these NC scenes, I watch people's ears.
Oh, they tell a story.
Some are bright red, and it always makes me giggle when I've seen it. But then there's others. Some people are very smooth, and their ears are not red. And I'm like, okay, props to you. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But the other thing I get caught up on is what Heatherly was saying, where it doesn't look like they're thinking as they're doing stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I always want. I always used to call it continuity. It is not. It is not continuity. I know that, but my brain says, how natural is this scene? Not in what are they doing, but how naturally can they do it, like all the way through? Because like if they break up, like if it's the scene changing or the camera changing, then I can understand like it looking different, and I will give them as much as they can for that. But like if they're just walking somewhere and I can see them like stutter step because they don't know exactly how far they need to go, I'm like, maybe we should practice.
Yeah, that's when I have moments where I'm like, oh, I don't think you guys talked through this scene because you don't seem to know how far your hand can go. And they're not cutting the camera. So we're seeing this stuff happen as you're like, oh, what am I allowed to do? Which props to them for being like, oh, I don't want to cross the line. But then you have other blocking. This is why you need to rehearse the scenes. You need to do the blocking so that everyone knows like what's okay, how far are we going, when's the camera cutting.
And I think that's another thing where I'm like, everything gets put on the actors. Everything. The actors hold the weight of every complaint, every issue, and somehow it always leads to the fact that they must not like men. I don't know how it ends up there, but that's where it ends up. But I'm like, it depends on the budget, how much time you have. Do you have time to really like some of these workshopping and blocking? It's a luxury because some of them are like shooting quickly. They're trying to keep daylight. They're like doing all of this stuff that another company may, and not even a company, another show within a company may have that luxury, or they may have gotten enough sponsors to have the time to pay the crew to sit around while you block this. Like all of these things matter. But at the end of the day, if something doesn't go the way the audience likes it, they say, oh, you must hate men.
And so often I'm like, no, these scenes are not like comfortable. Like
it's so vulnerable.
Yeah, because you have to, there is that moment where you're like, I hope this person is comfortable. You don't want to be pushing things. I hope people are not wanting to push things too far. I'm giving everyone the benefit of the doubt.
I just had a thought. Do people think by being gay, they would be comfortable?
Yes, 100%. They think that if they're gay, they will be comfortable in these scenes. And I'm like, no.
What?
No,
it just clicked in my brain that because I was like, why does it always end the same? The conversation always ends the same.
Like, we don't need straight actors. I'm like, no, these aren't inherently like comfortable things to do. Especially on a camera with a room full of people.
A straight show, male, female, doing the same scene, I would look at it the same way. I'm like, are they comfortable? Are they prepared and ready for this scene? Like, I'm not asking. I never asked that question because I'm judging whether they like each other or not. I'm like, are you guys good? Like, did you have enough time to figure this out?
You don't have to like or be attracted to someone to do a good scene.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. You could hate the person's guts and be like, so many actors in Hollywood, who was it? Clark Gable, they said his teeth were like rotting and it was horrible to kiss him. He has really good kissing scenes with these women. So we got to hand it to these women. So like, you don't have to be like super into it. And also that's one of the things in Hollywood that, like I keep mentioning Bridgerton, but it was a huge deal when they came out and they explained how they do their scenes. to make sure that everyone is comfortable. And then everyone in the industry started talking about intimacy coordinators, how they're so needed, and people who were doing these scenes beforehand. So men and women were coming forward and saying, wow, we wish we'd had this earlier because I did things I wasn't comfortable with because I thought that's what the director wanted in the scene because there wasn't this kind of communication and I didn't know I could have a boundary. And like we as the viewers are like, wow, what a great scene and so on. They weren't comfortable. They were pushing themselves past boundaries that they had.
Yeah.
And that's happening. That's happening. I think I feel like it's gotten better. I don't know though. I don't know.
I think it just comes down to, what crew you get paired up with. People probably want to get paired with certain crews, certain directors, other stuff. And then you're just hoping, because we do know, we keep having scandal after scandal with these companies that, no, it is not like that for everyone. There's harassment on set. There's other stuff happening and you don't get and you know what? Then I'm hoping that them and their scene partner are at least on the same page.
Yeah. Yeah. You got the fact that no one wants to address those things or think about those things and would just rather just rage against actors. And I don't want to be super protective because there's probably some dick actors out there. So I don't want to be like, oh,
no one's a dick.
Perfect. We all know they're not.
If you know who the asshole is, DM me. No, I'm joking.
What, Shannon?
I said, if you know who the asshole is, you got some insider info, let me know.
Oh my God, Shannon.
Curious.
But even in that, like, even in that scenario, there could be some things that happen to that actor that has made them that way.
Mm-hmm.
They could have been put in unsafe situations time and time again, that they're bitter and they're jaded and they're not good to the people around them. Like, you just don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. There was a director bragging about not using the intimacy, like the stuff that keeps your private parts separate from one another in scenes, because they couldn't find an angle where it didn't get caught on camera. So they were bragging that the actors didn't use it. So there is stuff. This was an interview. This person gave these interviews. So there is there is this stuff that's happening. And then on top of it, this is people's work. They're trying to get paid. They're trying to make money. They're, who are you going to piss off? This person who has all this influence and works with all these other directors and producers and like can get you shut out from what you're trying to do. So yeah, it does suck.
I was thinking of actors because I always hear the women when I watch the actor roundtable. Y'all, I watch a lot of those. So the way Shannon goes back to Bridgerton, I go back to actor roundtable. These are our focal points. But
I just watched Bridgerton, so I'm like,
but the women are always talking about. There has not been a woman on an actors roundtable that says she likes or wants to do love scenes. They hate them. They say they're demoralizing. It is super uncomfortable. They hate it. They hate it. So I just need people to stop romanticizing these scenes. Yeah. But then I saw an actors roundtable, and I don't know what I thought that they were going to say, but they said the same thing, which I found really interesting. They said it is humiliating at times. He said, like, what I did not think about this, but he's like, sometimes as men we can't control how we react, but we also don't want to be like unsafe, like it. And then you're in a room full of people reacting.
Mm-hmm.
You would like to not be doing in a room full of people.
Yeah.
And it is uncomfortable and it is humiliating and they hate it. And I'm just like, why are we pretending like this is a walk in the park every time they go do these love scenes? I don't.
There's some. Now, I'm not saying this about every ship because I'm sure there's some people who are not comfortable in their ship, but there's some aspects of being in a long-term ship that is actually like protective. And it is that you do know this person. You get to work with this person for a while. You have built this relationship. And from what these people have said in about the ships is that it's not like other relationships. It's not like other relationships. It's something different. And I get it because Yeah. So I think there's something at least with that. And again, not for everyone, because I'm sure not everyone feels this way. But at least you have that understanding with a person that you can go into with things that you don't have when you're just being paired with someone new every time and you have to do these scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to say something controversial because you got me doing this late, but and this is going off memory, so you correct me. I think Shannon will correct me if I get it wrong. But the Chris interview when he said he only wanted to do love scenes with Cinto, correct?
Oh, yeah. I think he did say that. Yeah.
And everybody translated that into when they list off reasons to.
Oh, yes. He said he only wanted to be paired with Cinto. Yeah.
And I thought, how did this get twisted into he hates men? Like he's, and because to me, that makes, I would say the same thing. Like if I found a partner that I felt safe with, no, I would not want to do, and everyone's like, you're an actor, you just do it. But if you have a choice and you're able to choose, you can choose to stay with the partner you're with.
You made me think of something. This is something you have mentioned before. And it is so, and I'm going to use an example that actually happened. There was, I believe, a producer or someone, and they were talking, and I believe it was with Golf. They were talking with Golf, and there was a female actress.
Yes.
And this producer said on fucking camera, there's video of this, that all like the Me Too movement, all this stuff happened. It happened in Thailand as well, right? He said, you can't do this stuff with the women now. And he was like, and he was saying that, I'm paraphrasing because I don't really remember this video, so I'm not quoting this man directly, but essentially that now they get to do this to the men because you can't do it to the women. And Golf was there. He was using Golf as the example. And I just remember going like, the fuck. And so this is something Kelly has talked about before, but yeah. And so I get it, especially with men. I think it's also not necessarily something that's as easily talked about for men.
Yeah.
And obviously it wasn't easy for women to get heard in this area as well. But the focus shifts as soon as it's told, like, you can't do this to women. And then like there's a spotlight shine, they go, oh, okay. And it gets turned and then people just think it's okay to behave that way with men because they're men. And it's like, no.
The example I used with dance, we had a whole thing where we kind of did our own Me Too in the dance community, and we had community guidelines, and it was just really vocalized. You're going to be watched. You can't touch women any kind of way on a dance floor. Like when these assault happened, we're going to be talking about them. And so all of the guys started to get really scared of any interaction with women. At the same time, we were having a movement to encourage no gender within dance roles. So men would follow or lead, and women could follow or lead. And so there were these really amazing follower men that were coming out and dancing socially. And I will never forget watching my friend in front of me and my other friend were sitting, and these guys one by one dancing with him and just bending him over, doing all hands all over his body. These are married straight men. So, but they couldn't do it with women, these married straight men. And so they were like, well, he's fine. And I remember just literally getting up. We both got up at one guy and we were like, get off of him. And we yelled in the middle of the dance floor, you can't touch him that way anymore. And we pulled him off the dance floor and we were like, they are not allowed to touch you like that. They cannot touch you like that. It is not okay. You do not have to put up with that. But he was so happy to get dances. It's so complicated, right? Like now they're asking me to dance. They didn't ask me to dance before.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And that is where it's hard. And I think sometimes as women, we can spot it, right? Because we've been going, so we get it. Like, yeah, we understand. Also at the same time, it's shitty. But at the same time, it was like that producer where it's like, no, the fuck, you can't just switch who you're doing it to. It's the action itself that's wrong.
Yeah.
And if he says that out loud, what's he doing? An interview?
Yeah. This was from a few years ago. I don't know if people are going to start.
I remember it.
Yeah, I remember it being like, what the fuck did this person just say?
I think you sent it to us, and I was like,
yeah, because I think I was like, did I read that right?
Yeah. Like, are you shitting me right now?
Like, was this a translation error? Like, what did I miss?
And the girl was there like, and I'm like, oh my God.
Golf was there.
Yeah, he was, yeah. It was so uncomfortable. He was talking about golf, like, haha, like, isn't this so funny? And golf's like, And then there's always that thing where I'm like, what do you do in that situation? And that's what makes it so complicated, because like, what can you do in these situations?
Right.
That's why, you know, Me Too and all this stuff happened. Because, and again, like you said, everything comes down on the actors. They are the first line where people get mad. They're like, oh, they were like this or blah, blah. And I'm like, they don't have as much sway. Like,
they don't have any protection. They've got none.
But all of these reasons are the exact reason why, as much as I'm all for people who say I want to see people like switch up their pairings and stuff like that, I also am a strong believer of like, maybe you just let them be in the pairing they want to be in. And if this is the pairing they want to be in, let them stay.
Yeah, I'm one of those people where I'm like, I would love to see people act with like other people.
I would love a little mix and match moment, but at the same time,
I'm not breaking anyone up. I'm like, if this is where they want to be, you know what, they're going to be here. Get people at their comfort levels.
Like, if that's the one control they have, let them have it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they protect each other, and we can see in pairings where people are protective of the other person.
We've seen stuff happen where we were like, and that's the other thing is I know not everyone, you know, watches all the things we watch or pays attention to all this stuff, and I get it, because that's just not what everyone does.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot, guys. It's a lot.
But at the same time, it's like, whoa, you catch little things, and you can't do anything. Like, and I don't think people realize just how complicated it all is, because you can't just do something about it. Because what are you going to do? Call out something and then have everyone be like, oh, it's not what you think, like, blah, blah. You can't do that all the time. But sometimes some shit's so big. There's been a few times where stuff was so bad, so like blatantly bad, that everyone was like, what the hell is happening? And it did actually remove some people from situations.
Yeah.
You guys on the podcast, Shannon made a face and we made faces.
You guys didn't hear anything, right?
No.
Just saw your face.
I hope. I'm kind of glad we did not plan to have this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
We used to be really loud about this, and I'm kind of glad we kind of fell off of it, because there was just a lot to focus on, and it is dark. But I think it's still important to continue to vocalize that somebody has to speak up for these actors. Somebody does. No, nobody does. Nobody does.
You know, there's instances where like people can tell something might not be happening, but you don't always know. I'll give the example of like Motive Village. People knew that something was not right. And then more and more stuff happened. And then what ended up causing a massive snowball was fans on Twitter finally having enough and calling stuff out. And it caused a massive snowball effect. But it got people out. It got people out of Motive Village and what was happening there, and it shined a light. But at the same time, that's one of those instances where I think things happened at a right time, because it doesn't always work that way. It isn't always that great, and you can't always do something, even if it's straight in your face. You're watching, like that producer with golf. People were like, what the hell? Or the stuff that just happened with Daewoo Off-Road in their show, and staff behind the scenes, and the stuff they were saying, that blew up. That was big. But I have not heard anything about that being taken care of, or like people being removed from the show.
Actually talk about it. I think
I remember Daewoo like posted some stuff and said something, but I haven't seen if those people were removed.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Right.
So that's where it's like, it doesn't always have the impact you want it to.
Right. Like, because then it's the complication of who do they work for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were not open label people.
Right.
Mm-mm.
It's a lot like, and even not in shows, in interviews, like the thing that happened with Yoon
Oh my
and
God.
that interviewer, like he
Jesus.
had to apologize to
Yeah,
to
apologize.
the interviewer, even though he did nothing wrong. So like we can spot it and call it out, but sometimes that's not something any of us can fix because it's
Yeah, we
part of
can't
his
control it.
contract for some reason.
And it's these legacy people too. Like she's one of those legacy
It's
people.
huge. Yeah, she's a huge
So
person.
we can get as upset as we want, but some of these people have been in the business. They have power, they have connection, they have control. And what do you do? Like they've been there for years. They are the one. They can destroy you. They can destroy your career with a snap of a finger.
Yeah. Oh, is it the one scandal that just happened with the actor from For Him, where he came out and said he had been being harassed by someone higher up connected to that show for months. He said to the point where the sound of his phone going off was sending him into panic attacks. And he had and all this stuff was happening. He finally opened up about it. So yeah, that stuff. It's so funny that I don't know how we got into all of this, but yeah, I do think it's something.
I'm pretty proud of us. We actually took a very linear path to get here.
We
It was
did,
just
and we stayed
built on things. I was very proud of us. Sorry.
It started out, but yeah. So, and I do think it is something people forget a lot of the time. It's kind of funny because it's very funny because Kelly, I think more so will always advocate for it's okay to have the soft, sweet kisses and moments and all this stuff. Like we need that. And then I'm over there going, I'm really proud of people who do NC scenes because I know that they're not easy. And I know that they're not something that is comfortable or all this kind of stuff. So I do want to give credit to people who do commit to it and do it. And that doesn't necessarily mean I'm I want all the NC scenes, but I'm I do also think the people who do them should get some credit as well because they're not the most comfortable things. This isn't something everyone wants to be doing.
Yeah, and I don't even think it's about credit. I think about what fits the show. That's more my thing.
Yep.
Yes, that's right.
So I don't. It can be the whole range, just as long as it fits the show, and we don't try to place things in shows that don't belong. For if you're trying to sell a spicy show, why are you doing soft, sweet kisses? It doesn't make sense to the show. If you're trying to do a show where they're have zero experience and they're babies, and you want them to mac out and go to town in the first 2 episodes, what are we doing?
Oh, you know what this actually reminds me of? This is so funny. It's actually on topic. Is Knock Knock Boys. Okay. This is hysterical. Can I ruin a little thing about the show?
We're not. I don't want to say it like that. It's just too many shows.
No.
I actually have heard all good things about Knock Knock.
Funny enough, I did not expect this for this show. It is talking a lot about sexuality, safe, sex and relationships, toys, the amount of detail of the shit it's going into. I was what? Different experience levels. What does consent mean? How it doesn't just apply to this, it applies to other things. So I was surprised that this show is talking about all this. But one thing the show has is it has a character who has no experience. They have just been sheltered by their mother. Their mom is doesn't want them to be in the world stuff. And so this sheltered character is hanging out with another character who has a lot of experience. So this character's name is Latte. And Latte has told everyone that he's pan. And then he explains to people, he's that doesn't mean I'm down to fuck anyone. He's I choose who I want to be with. I'm very specific about it. And it does not mean I just am I see a person, I'm let's go. And Latte is hanging out a lot with Almond, and Almond has no fucking clue about anything, not a damn thing. And so there's this one scene, and Almond is they're in this club for sex stuff, and Almond's looking at this sex toy and this dildo, and he's super zoned in, all this kind of stuff, and they're all what the fuck's going on with you? Anyways, he goes out and he buys one, and it's one for women. Later on, he has this comment where he was oh, that's really people. It was so funny that the detail that they added in, that this character knows nothing, got the wrong thing, and it's played into all of this stuff. I appreciate that level of detail where they're not making this person a sudden expert.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see. I was trying to connect the dots. Okay, I got
I know.
I followed you. I was there the whole time. I knew what was happening.
I got lost in the story, and I was like, "What are we?" Oh, yes.
Funny, I was dying. Yeah, that was my one connection. But I think that show has done it really well at putting characters and their knowledge base and how they behave with like the actual character and where they should be with their knowledge.
It just this is sort of in line, but not fully in line with what we're talking about. But I like watched a bunch of like current straight shows lately on net. I just like went on Netflix and like I was talking about it the other day. I watched Geek Girl. I watched Bridgerton and I watched Geek Girl, and specifically around Geek Girl, I was like, we are being unreasonable. I'm just gonna say it. We are being unreasonable about some of the things we're demanding out of BL that these shows, the straight shows, do not do. Like, why on all of the sudden have we decided? And I'm not just even talking about the sex stuff. I'm talking about plot line. I'm talking about how long it takes people to get together. Like, we are raging about we are. I'm a little irritated too. I'm not excluding myself from it. But then I watched Geek Girl and it was like 10 episodes. And spoiler alert, it takes the entire time for them to get together. And if it had multiple seasons, it would take multiple seasons for them to get together. It is the cornerstone of straight media is will they, won't they, and dragging out the freaking relationship. And if they're not in love by episode 3, we're rioting in the BL world. And I'm like, where did we, how did we get here? How did we get here?
The like, some of the stuff, a lot of the complaints I see about like the show quality, all this kind of stuff, I'm like, no. I say this all the time, like, you don't get to complain about what BL is producing because I know you're watching a CW show. So I don't want to hear the complaints about like this or this. I'm like, I know the quality you're consuming. And it's not what you're demanding in this area.
I feel like these people, it has turned into this, well, we should demand movie level, like cinema. And I'm like, what are we doing here? Some of these shows are just going to be shows. They're going to be a good time. They're not going to be super deep. And, that's okay. And I just, also the tropes, oh my God, the miscommunication, the tropes in Geek Girl are infuriating. I watched the whole thing though. I did. But they were worse than any BL you would ever watch. And it's number 2 on Netflix right now. So why are we acting like BL should be so evolved from all media? Soap operas, shows that come on in any country, like it's all the same. And it's always been the same. Why all of
the varying degrees?
Thinking, if you want to go back to like shows, Western media shows for like made for like teenagers and stuff, even worse in many occasions, not well produced, definitely not good scripts, definitely not good plot lines, repeating plot lines over and over and over again. And I'm just like, why do we get so mad over here in the BL foreign Asian media? I don't understand.
I don't know how we got here. I don't know how we got to this place where we were demanding, and I get wanting shows to evolve, but it's almost this very pretentious discussion about BL.
I know how we got here. I actually know, because there was.
Oh no.
Okay. Anyway, what was it? Oh, I know how we got here because there was an actual like BL and the productions and all this stuff got called out, rightfully so. They got called out for the way they were portraying these relationships, that this was not, they weren't like portraying queer relationships in a good light. Like everything was like wrong. It wasn't good. And so they got called out by the community, like in Thailand and all this stuff, and more was demanded, and a lot happened with authors rewriting sections of their books, like they demanded a change in the novels that were coming out and the shows that were happening. And so we've been seeing that happen. But I think what has happened is that call out happened to get it to be just better, to stop being so horribly toxic.
And traumatic, wasn't it?
And
It was like
traumatic and all this stuff, and to be more authentic.
Yeah.
Like, and so we're seeing that. And like there was demand for more like queer representation, not only on camera, but behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So all of this started happening. And so I feel like, but then what happened was we got some stuff quicker. We had made, like, what we were talking about with Kin Porsche, Cutie Pie, love the other stuff. We had some stuff happen quickly all at once, but the rest of the industry wasn't there yet. Yeah, so I think what happened was it was kind of like this moment of like people who don't, like we were saying, new people brought in all this kind of stuff and they were like, what the hell is going on? Not knowing that this is already happening, that we're watching this develop, we're watching the stuff be put in place so that this can happen. And then they're coming in expecting and wanting this quality of stuff. And we're like, well, hold on. Because like, like we just saw them update their cameras. Like, give us a second. Like people are just starting to take this seriously.
Just got
Korea just started doing BLs. Like we need to come on. Like let's give it a little bit more.
But I think removing toxicity and trauma and updating the shows is not the same as ending will they won't they storylines or
so that's what I think is we had very unique shows drop at a point, and so then everyone's like, well, this is what, and I'm like, oh no, we were not there yet. Like now we're getting more diversity in the shows, but I was like, I don't think it was happening fast enough for the people who got like the taste, and that was what their first taste of everything. And then
especially with a lot of those in particular, a lot of those that were incoming at that time, those were high production, high like number production value shows that got put in. And I personally don't think the storylines match the production level, but it doesn't change the fact that the quality was good. So they expect it can, like, you can fluctuate those, but it doesn't change the fact that the industry isn't quite up to making everything new, different.
But I just again, like, we'll get, having diversity is great and everything, but it's not going to stop like just a regular show. Like we're still going to have those, and those are not bad.
You know, it's one of those things where I desperately want so many more mystery or like murder shows. Just I want it so badly. And I know that it's probably not going to feel like enough to me for a while, because enough to me would be me having one to watch every single month going forward. And we're not going to have that. And so I think that's kind of like with other people. It's like, for some of the stuff we want, we're just not going to. It's unless everything went super mainstream and all the channels and everyone like picked up everything and started really producing it. It's just, there's no way to make that amount where we would all be satisfied with what's coming out.
And I do think there's something to be said, and we were saying this off camera before, like, if it's too niche, will it make you the money you need it to make? Like, at the end of the day, everyone acts like this is not a business. Every time
so much money.
But also, like, people are like, they just want to make money. Yes, for the love of God, they act like because these are queer shows, they are gifts to us. The people are just giving up their time.
And I would also like to remind people that these shows are not like Amazon Kindle books where they can just get thrown out once a week and be like a whole new plot, a whole new thing, and just be completely new. It takes time to do these things, get the people, have the money to put it in. It's not something you can just like write up and throw on the screen and it'd be good.
And they just started doing original scripts. Before this, everything was coming from books. They like literally within the last 2 years, they just started doing original scripts. So
I told Sunset about you for leading the way. Thank you. Okay, bye.
But it was, and that was one thing though. I told Sunset about you everything we're watching today got impacted by that show. Like the ships that you see paired, the styles coming out, like just so much. Even I wouldn't even say how they do the music in the shows now.
Behind the scenes change. They
from
changed that.
Mm-hmm. Some people maybe a little bit more than others were a lot influenced by to a point where it's like, okay, guys, I'm not gonna name names. But yeah, and that's one thing where like Billiken and PP had such, again, at that time you could pick out the couples because it was so few who had that chemistry. It was not everyone, and the chemistry was also not based in fan service, because at that time fan service was like very much what was happening. But there were a select few couples who I keep hitting my mic, who everyone knew and everyone understood, did not do fan service, were very there, and people loved them, and their shows were good. And Billiken and PP, they influenced they influenced so much. The GMMTV ships we get now, thanks to Billiken and PP.
Yep. And they proved that you didn't have to be as hands-on in trying to manipulate situations and just chemistry and all of that other stuff. They proved that if you put two people together that have some sort of relationship outside of work or have a comfort level, then that can come more naturally, the way you were talking about Heatherly, where it feels natural. It doesn't feel performed.
And that was, and I do think that, that was what everyone realized, was that fans, because Kuhart spoke about this in an interview, that they realized fans didn't want fan service. And in the beginning, that's what everyone thought they wanted. That's what was being demanded. And so they changed. They've been changing this now because they're like, oh, they don't want fan service. And also, AOF at GMMTV was like, I don't know how to do this. I'm just going to pair up everyone who already knows each other. And guess what you don't get when you're pairing up people who've been friends or they have this history together? You don't get fan service. You just get people who've known each other for ages interacting and being, who they are.
AOF is so good at it.
It's scary. How come he does this? I'm like, terrifying. Every time they're like, oh, AOF, call to match someone up for a show, I'm like, we're going to be in for it now.
I keep trying to fix it. It's off. It's not AOF, even though it looks like AOF.
Oh, it's off?
It's off.
Yeah, it's off.
So I call him, but yeah, I call him director off.
Got
so
it.
I get it separated from off.
I realize I don't really hear that many people say his name, so it's hard. It's easy to not.
But it's off. It's not. I've been calling him AOF for years because that's what it looked like to me.
That's what
it's off.
All right, off. That's going to be I can do it. We got this.
It's hard. I still have to remind myself.
I still have to think through a lot of those things.
Mm.
All right. I can't go on my other tangent. I'm good at making.
What's your other tangent?
That comedies are valuable too. The drama isn't just drama.
We need the comedy,
but it's not that we need it. I think
it's just they're hard.
Yeah, I don't think
they're not as easy to do as people say they are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, people think that's easy. It's not easy to be funny. It's like
shows. Yeah, timing. Go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, there's like we were talking about with the NC scenes. There's a lot that goes into it, even with comedy, that I don't think people realize. Like, a lot of people are not naturally funny, so you have to time shit correctly. You have to know what's coming next.
It's timing, and also authenticity is really necessary for comedy to work. If you come in trying to be funny, it's not funny. It's cringe. But if you are coming at that role, understanding what funny is and also trying to bring authenticity to the character, it's complex, it's hard. And most actors who want to be well-rounded and want to be considered like actors want to conquer comedy. So it is not, we are not there. You're not wasting an actor or casting an actor aside if you have them do comedy. You're actually stunting them if you only have them do drama.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Even I know this conversation is because me and her were talking about like Off and Cooking Crush and all that outside of this, but I would even say Nanan. I would even say Nanan because he's done so many serious shows.
Mm-hmm.
Every time, and all the more light-hearted shows he did over the last couple of years, he said he specifically wanted to do them because he wanted something that felt lighter and could challenge him more, because he had done so many dramas where he did intense shows, constantly either crying or yelling or doing some sneaky ass shit in a show. He wanted something that's like, I want to make people laugh, and I
Mm-hmm.
want to know that I can do that. That's why he did like Dirty Laundry and things like that, because it was comedy and he was trying to do more comedic things to broaden his scope of being able to, because he's a wonderful actor.
Mm-hmm.
But he knew that he needed to push himself more and get more genres in there.
Yeah,
To like
I told myself I
understand.
was going to make a video because I still don't think people know that Gunn specifically wanted to do a comedy. I think
Yeah.
people think that, and this is, I'm like, oh, all the times GMM does people wrong, they miss. And the times, like, this wasn't GMM doing them wrong. They literally wanted that show. They wanted to do a comedy. They wanted they wanted the show to be specifically the way the show is. Like, that was all things they were working for and fighting for. This was not a case where GMM did them dirty. But I think a
Right.
lot of people, most people who don't know that backstory think that that's what happened, that they got cast away to this comedy on this other platform. And it's like, no, this was actually a moment that was them harnessing their own power in the company. But also just like people need to do comedies. Like if you're doing all of that dramatic stuff, it is mentally, Nenon is a good example.
Yep.
We'll end soon. We need to end soon anyway. But like you can't, it is not mentally healthy.
Yep.
Yeah.
To continuously do these dramatic, like toxic, traumatic shows. It is going to mess you up. And I know, or I've been told that mental health is not, as at the forefront of a lot,
Yeah.
specifically in the acting area. It's because I know a lot of actors in the US, specifically doing theater and stuff like that. All of them go to therapy to make it through their shows. They're in constant therapy just to get through. And I know Nanan talks about it openly, but I don't know that everybody's doing that,
And he only recently started talking about it when he had to take that hiatus, like after Bad Buddy and like the Dirty Laundry and all that stuff. When he got done with those, and even during Dirty Laundry, like you could tell that he had hit that wall that he couldn't go any further. When he decided to take his hiatus from acting, he specifically said, I need to write myself within my, with therapy and focusing on my music, because that's the only thing that can pull me out of all the things that I've put myself through all my acting. Because in Nanon's case, it's even worse because he's a method actor. So he puts himself so far deep into his characters that it takes him a long time to pull himself back out. But in general, people, including Nanon, but like other people who do dramatic things, they need that therapy of some kind. And comedy is a good way to kind of bridge that gap, let you still act, get more information and like chops and stuff like that, but also kind of take yourself out of all the super dramatic, traumatic roles that you have previously done.
Yeah. I think people think actors are superhuman. They should be able to make out with everybody, do a love scene, get up, run, do some kind of trauma scene, and then, go say all the right things in an interview without any media.
And then go do something for charity and then sell something on the side.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, she's muted. I was like, what's that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have to go round up my children.
We were right at time.
Yeah. This was fun. This was fun to talk about. But and we did get everywhere very naturally. I'm very impressed.
We did. I'm proud of us. Okay. Good job.
Considering we started this with no plan of what we were going to talk about,
Not a damn
I'm
thing.
very proud of us.
Mm-hmm.
Good
Way to go.
Okay.
High fives.
All right.
High fives.
I don't know where anyone is.
Oh,
So.
wait. Dorks.
All right. So who wants to end it
How
out?
do we close? Do we have a
We
close?
still don't know. We say we're
One
done,
day we
guys.
should just end it. How?
Oh God.
No, we say thank you for coming.
Oh.
Thank you for listening to us.
Yeah.
I hope you come back in 2 weeks when we do this again.
Yeah. Stick around, people.
All right.
Invite your friends.
Invite
We're
your
a good
friends.
time.
Yeah.
We're fun to talk to.
We like each other. We hope you like us too.
This is literally
goodness.
just started because we were like, this would be fun.
Yeah.
And now we're here like, you want? What are we expecting to read people's
People are
comments?
so disappointed in us. We cannot figure out how to end these dang things.
Oh, we need a script.
No.
Okay. To be fair, though, even if we had one, it would probably
No.
never get used.
It would
No.
it would kill our spirit. We're not
Yeah.
script people. If you
Nope.
want that, you'll have to find somebody else.
Hire an actor. They do that thing. I am not
Yeah.
one of those.
This is all improv,
Yeah.
which, by the way, I was stellar at when I was in school.
Yes, and was that really nerdy response?
Yes.
I was an actor too. Cheerio, pip pip.
I used to do debate and all this stuff, and I went really far within the little circle I was in. But my opponents would come in super prepared. They knew everything they were going to say. They had it written down, and all I knew in my head was like the facts. And I just went up there, and I was like, "All right, hit me with what you got." And even when I knew they had more than me and that they had outdone me, I was able to convince them they didn't do what they did and they stumbled. And then everyone believed what I was saying. I was like, yeah. And I didn't even prepare. I was like, yeah, I just remembered some facts. I read some things and I went up there. So,
In case anybody needed to know how Shannon got through life, that's pretty much how
literally how I've gotten through everything is I'm just like, let's do this.
Figure it out later.
Yeah. Well, later on, it's going to make sense.
All right. Well,
We're gonna say goodbye.
we need to go.
Oh, yeah. We'll say bye. I got to go help my kids.
All right, everyone. Bye.
Bye.